back for another prediction video for an upcoming episode of The Walking Dead. This is my predictions for Season 10, Episode 12, which is called Walk With Us. I was told in a comment recently that all of my predictions are wrong, so get ready for some wrong predictions. But anyway, let's jump right into this prediction video. So, as always, we're going to look at the title and the synopsis of this episode and then jump into some plot points I think we're going to see in this episode. The title, Walk With Us, that could either be a reference to what Alpha said in the previous episode, which is, I want the survivors to join my horde. So that could be a reference to that, or it could just refer to the Whisperers' lifestyle, like they walk with the dead. But there's nothing else we can really say about that title. The synopsis reads, with Negan's help, Alpha and the Whisperers attack Hilltop. This could have easily been the synopsis for the previous episode. So I'm disappointed about this synopsis. It doesn't really tell us anything. But with that said, let's jump into some of my predictions as far as plot points are concerned. The first thing I have here is the attack at Hilltop. So of course, we're going to see the rest of the battle at Hilltop. And I think we are going to see some casualties from both sides, the Whisperers and the survivors. Now, I don't think that we're going to see many major Whisperers die during the battle itself, but we are probably going to see a lot of red shirt Whisperers and survivors die, and also we may even see one or two major survivors dying. We know a bunch of main survivors who do make it out of the battle alive, which I will kind of talk about in a little bit, but other than them, the others who we don't see in any other teaser or trailer or sneak peek or photo or anything, those are likely to have died at some point during the battle. Now, the next thing I think we're going to see is much like the comics, I do think that Hilltop will be burned to the ground. Of course, it was on fire at the end of the last episode, but I do think that it's going to be completely burned to the ground, just like the comics, to a point where it's inhabitable and the survivors would have to relocate. And I think that's going to lead to the group heading for Alexandria. And I do think that they are going to be separated at some point. So we're going to see different groups of people together. They may be together at some point, but I think that they will separate or split up at some point. Alden, Kelly, and Adam, Mary's nephew, will be together at some point. They'll be trapped in a car. We do see that in the teaser. Now, we haven't seen Alden in any other shot, so there's a possibility that he will not make it past this point and he'll die at some point when they're trapped in this car. Now, obviously, any of the characters that I'm mentioning now are all going to make it out of the Hilltop battle alive because they are seen in other shots and other parts of the story. So any character that I kind of talk about in this video will most likely have survived the Hilltop battle. The next group of people who are going to be together, I think, are going to be Lydia and Carol. We do know based on the trailer that Lydia is going to be injured, and I do think that she's going to stumble upon Carol, and I do think that Carol is going to help Lydia. Like, Lydia is going to be in a pretty sticky situation. She's going to need some help, and Carol is going to show up just in time to save her. The next group of people who are going to be together are Luke and Erin. This connects to something that was in the sneak peek that I talked about on a separate video. Luke was injured and Erin was carrying him around. I don't think that Luke is going to die at this point. I think it's just too obvious. So I don't think they're going to kill Luke and I don't think they're going to kill Erin, but Luke will be injured at some point. Maybe he'll even be injured during the Hilltop battle, but he's not going to die during the battle itself, obviously. In the sneak peek, we see Erin coming across Negan, wanting to kill him, but walkers show up and Negan bounces. So Erin and Luke are going to be surrounded by walkers. And I think after that scene, one of Mary or Negan will save them. Like, obviously, in the sneak peek, Negan ran away, but there's a chance that he'll come back and save them. But if not Negan, there's a possibility that Mary will be the one to save Erin and Luke. I mean, Erin and Mary have that connection anyway, so it makes sense for Mary to be the one that saves Erin and Luke from the walkers that are surrounding them. The next group of people who are going to be together are Earl, Daryl, Rosita, Yumiko, and the kids. And at some point they're gonna find this building and they're gonna hide in this building, seek refuge there while maybe the threat passes. Now that threat could be one of two things. It could just be a herd of walkers, or it could be whispers that are there to get them. But I do think that they're going to be hiding while on their way to Alexandria. Now, from this group, I think Daryl is the one that's most likely to die. I actually thought he was going to die during the battle itself, but he makes it out of that alive. So the next opportunity for them to kill him would be at this time. The next thing that we might see is Gamma might be captured by Negan. There's bits and pieces of clues in the teaser and the trailers that they released that are pointing towards this. And I will actually talk more in depth about that on a separate video that I'm going to do, because there's no way I'm going to actually be able to talk about that in depth if I don't talk about the comics. So that's going to be a separate video, a standalone video where I'm going to bring in some of the comic material in order to make a prediction about what Negan's plan is and what he might be up to, and how it might lead to a particular scene from the comics, which I do think we are going to see in this episode. But the next thing I think we're going to see is we're possibly going to get a reveal about who let Negan out. And again, I'm going to talk more about that in that other video I talked about, but I do still think that it will be revealed that it was Carol who let Negan out. But again, like I said, I'll talk more about that in depth in that video, because I do want to bring in some comic material into the discussion. The last thing we're most likely going to see in this episode is Negan will use Mary or Gamma as bait to lure Alpha into an isolated area. And I do think that this will lead to one of the most iconic comic scenes. But that'll also be talked about in that other separate video that I will be putting out later in the week. I did say that Gamma might be captured by Negan, but that might not happen. Like, I still think that Negan will use Mary as bait, but she might not necessarily be captured. And what do I mean by that? I think that either Negan is gonna capture Mary and use her as bait to get Alpha to an isolated area, or Negan is just gonna use Mary or Gamma's name as bait to lure Alpha in. So it's gonna be one of the two. At this point, I'm 50-50. It could go both ways. But with that said, let me know your thoughts and predictions about this episode in the comment section below. This episode seems like it's gonna be one of the best episodes of the season, if most of the stuff I think are gonna happen in this episode. But we're gonna have to wait and see what we get in this episode and what it ends with. Like, I do think that we are gonna see a cliffhanger in this episode, but I don't necessarily know what type of a cliffhanger we might get. But stay tuned for a standalone video talking about Negan's plan and how I think everything is going to come together between Negan and Alpha. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.